sometimes we invest in friends, we invest in land, we invest in building, we invest in degrees, we invest in whatever else, ministry, but forget the family. So that you are not spending time with your own very close people. So, my sons, even I call them, we talk when I'm calling them, hey, hi, bro. So it's not that we just have it light. But they know there's a time when I'm tough like a father. But why? It creates the space where we can talk. They can argue out a case without me killing them. Why? Because I have opened a space where we can have that kind of discussion. Then number 2, teenagers need entertainment. The problem we think is we must cut out entertainment. Why do why, everything is about why. And the don'ts. What about the do's? What you need to create is a value system around entertainment. Teach them what is good entertainment and what is bad entertainment. But provide space for the entertainment. One called me recently when Lion King 2 came out. In the middle of the week, he said, send me some money, I want to go watch Lion King. I could start arguing like a good father. Why didn't you tell me early? Why are you calling me on weekdays to watch movies? You are not serious. You should be doing A, B, C, and D. Have you finished your homework? But let me tell you, it is not a solution. It doesn't mean because I have denied him the entertainment, he's doing the homework. So it is to always realize that at that age, entertainment is a big thing. So what we've created are the rules of this is not good entertainment, this is good entertainment. And then allow space for that in an organized way. Then encouragement. How do you affirm and encourage your children? Because we cheat our children, we are all number 1. And we know you are not number 1. You actually survived. Encourage them. And encouragement doesn't mean that you appreciate mediocrity and all those other things. But if you know your child well, you know when they have tried their best, isn't it? Their best may not be number 1. It could be number 42 out of 50. But it is their best. Encourage them. Because a lot of us thrive on encouragement. A little encouragement takes us miles and brings out the best in us. And sometimes children have curves of growth where they struggle through primary school and then suddenly in high school they just hit a high. And others struggle through up to the end of high school. And then you see in university they have just gone somewhere. So we all are different and we must just know they need that encouragement. Affirm them for what they are good at. So don't spend so much time on how you are not good at this. Tell them the things they are good at and affirm it. You don't have to lie. You just have to tell them something that is positive about them. Then nurturing. Spend time in growing them. Help them nurture their gifts. Nurture what God has put into them. Take time and tell them, you know what? I know that you have a good voice for singing. Spend time and nurture them in those areas. Tell them, I find you a bit sloppy in your organizing your room. But don't just condemn. Show them how to organize their room. But if yours is disorganized, don't waste time trying to organize them. Yeah? It will not work. Yeah? Then what we talked about earlier, space. Because parents are always worried. Now, why is my teenager seated up alone and we are all seated here? Those are your problems. They are not their problems. Give them space. So I have learned to give my children what? Space. Allow them space to be. So we agree certain times we need all to be around food, meals, and have some time together. But they'll say they want to go upstairs, just allow them. And don't be too nosy. What could they be doing inside that room? Well, when you allow space, because space and trust go together. You must build trust. Don't always see the evil in your children. That when they are alone, they must be out to do some mischief. Just allow them to be. Now, I want to run through this very quickly. Okay. Halton has hung around me for quite a while. So we made it a rule in our family that all our children must learn a few things. Number one, they must learn a music instrument. Not one, at least two, if possible, three. So my elder son plays the bass guitar, he plays drums, he plays the saxophone, and he also plays the piano. My younger son plays drums, he plays the guitar, because he's a bit caught up in other things, but he's a very big one on sports. So he plays about 5 sports. Now, this whole idea was, how do we build their soft skills beyond school and other things? And we push it such that you never know at what point they will need these skills. So that when they are grown up, and these are places where they learn discipline, order, because when you are in a band, you can't just play when you want to play, isn't it? So you follow an order. If you're playing a game, see, there's a system and rules. So why are you struggling trying to teach 10 rules? Take them to play a game. They will learn those 10 rules much easier because that sport is a disciplined sport. So it teaches them, if you come at 6:30 and the game was starting at 6, the game has ended. So things like that help children grow so that we are not only nurturing education, but other soft skills and other things that are within them. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to cut out whatever I can. Now, allow me to quickly run through media. Now, media has 4 things, and I'll not go into them in depth. Number one, in media we say agenda setting. What versus about. Number 2 is priming. Number 3 is framing, and then cultivation. And I'll tell you quickly. So agenda setting tells us what to think rather than what to think about. So if I want you to think about, there's a problem in the handshake, I will set the agenda by every headline and everything we do. That's how we do it in media. I spent many years in media. Number 2, we prime. We create a context around what we want you to think about, the discussion, the issue, and we set a stage for you to discuss. Then we frame of how it will be. So you focus and you create an environment where all these things. So how something is presented influences the choices. And I'll be showing you a very quick example. Then you create what we call cultivation. Now, cultivation is what you're seeing happening today in our political scene. You will say, Ruto was here today and this, and he said this against the former prime minister. And the former prime minister tomorrow will be here and say, so you are cultivating that agenda. Yeah? Now, how many of you work for Kenya Shell here? No, none of you. Okay. Yeah? Shell, none of you. What do you see in that picture? You see a photo? Okay, that's a political answer. Yeah? Shell colors, okay. Yes? Slay queens. What else? Okay. Since you're saved, let me leave you alone. Now, this was about a campaign to sell Shell as a brand of fuel. It happened here in Nairobi. I'm sure some of you didn't see it. Now, when you see this, who are the people who visit petrol stations most? Men. What have those girls bending? And these are real pictures, they're not something I have created, they're not Photoshop. In a petrol station. Do you think those people sold fuel that day? A lot of fuel. Mafuta iliuzwa sana. And that's what media does. Because they want to sell oil, they'll create something provocative, create an agenda, go through all the stages, cultivate it to a point that now people will be going to Shell to spend time seeing these girls, not necessarily fueling. So what does media do? Media creates the truth and error. It also helps us see purity and impurity, the right and wrong, beauty, decency, and the list can go on. But as we go on, what I'm sure is disturbing a lot of us is what we call new media. Let me quickly jump a few slides. We live in an information age. My brother, go to the next slide. Okay, you're there. It is said the capacity in 1986 was about 432 exabytes. By 2007 was 1.9 zettabytes, which is about reading 174 newspapers per person per day. I don't know how many you can finish reading one newspaper. That's a kind of information, and these numbers have changed since then. Social media, for example, it's now the primary communication method of college students. We were with him in one, and he can tell you. Global consumers have spent about 6 hours on social media networking more than anything else. And every single day. 93% of businesses use social media. Facebook, if it was a country, would be the third largest country in the world. 51% of the ages 25 to 34 use social media for networking. 47% use it for social care. YouTube, if it is the world's second largest search engine, and in 21, 1 out of 8 couples in the US met on social media. Now, that was in the US, but I can tell you people I know who have met on social media. 1 in 6 students enroll online, and 1 in 5 divorces in the US are blamed on Facebook. And I like to skip all these things, but I want to come to some of this. And some of this is what you are struggling with. So media is positive, but media can also be very negative. Issues of pornography, terrorism, internet addictions, those are big. Pornography, for example, are we together? Yes? There are about 4.2 million pornographic sites, which accounts for about 12% of all websites. 68 million porn sites searches every day. If you went, there's a study that was done for how many people were typing in, searching for the word Jesus, and how many were searching for porn. Jesus was only about 9 million, while porn was 68 million searches daily. 72 million worldwide visits on porn sites. The primary consumers of porn are teenagers. And of course, men. The next one. It is estimated, Cisco predicts 82% of all consumer internet next year will be by video by 2020. And a lot of you who work on corporates and offices, you know, we are now moving away from everything else. You're going to video links. So you're using Zoom, you're using Teams, you're using Skype, and all these other things. Okay, let's move to the next slide. The next one on foundations. Psalm 111:3 says, if the foundations are being destroyed, what can the righteous do? And as parents, we grapple with this. Number one, the responses we must have is we must have some wholesome entertainment. What kind of entertainment do you have in your home? Do you know what your children are watching? Do you spend time looking at them, or are you too busy at what they're watching? I say many parents, you know, a lot of you are paying for your children to be on porn. And you're all looking at me blank. Because how many of you have smartphones? Here, let me see. We all have smartphones. How many of you use your phone beyond texting, calling, and M-Pesa? Maybe some WhatsApp a little. If I asked you how many features you know on your phone, I'll be very surprised if you know more than 5 features on your phone. So they come, they borrow your phone, they go on a site, save it on your phone, and you think they are very busy playing a game. Inculcate positive values. What are your value system as a family, and what have you passed on? And then educate all the ages. Help them learn. And education is not about going to school. It's about learning life skills and issues that help them. Uphold a family structure. What is it that is important within that family? And then present positive role models. Because they'll want to see the moral models that are around them, but help them and help them to see positive role models. Then train responsible internet use. Because we always blame young people for spending too much time on internet. But when you drive into your compound, you're on phone. When you sit down, you are busy texting. When, so I say none of us is a paramedic. If you didn't answer your phone for half an hour, you won't die. So we expect the young guys not to be on phone, but we spend inordinate amounts of time on phone, texting and everything. In a meeting, we are so restless, we cannot even sit in a meeting without being on phone. Yeah? And things like that. So that responsibility will come from us. And then influence thought. Influence thought. The Bible says, as a man thinketh, so he is. If you want to help your children, influence their thought. And with that, I'd like to stop because my time is up. Though I'd wanted to... Do you allow me 2 minutes? 5. Thank you. Yes. I want to help you quickly on what we call generations. We have 2 generations that have emerged, and there's a new one they're just researching on, which I'm yet to get some detail. There's Generation IY and Generation Z. Africa's population, they say, is the youngest continent globally. The median age of Africa is 19 years old. Kenya's median age is 19. Uganda is 15.9. So it's a country of teenagers. Even Africa is a country of teenagers. And what characterizes this generation? Lost values. It's a silent generation. How many times have you heard your children talking on phone? They don't. They are busy texting. And then they don't have the tradition of quality face-to-face encounters. They spend time on text and on internet. And so they don't have time to unpack feelings. You know, when you face one another, I see your emotion, I see your facial expression, etc. Pornography accounts for more than 13 billion US dollars. It's a big industry. Most companies, Microsoft will not tell you we made money from pornography. You'll have some other line on their books. And so instead of, because virtual relationship, they have friends. People who have 50 million friends. By the day they are sick, none of them appears to help them. And then there are so many disorders, violence, randy behavior, sexting, things that exist in our time. This is a portrait we have, even in church. And these are not things out there. Many of our children in church are busy smoking shisha. They're, when they're going to dance, they're gyrating and all those kind of things. And even we've allowed some of those dances in church. But let me look at this new generation of parents. And I have 4 of them I'd like to suggest as I finish. Number 1 is what we call helicopter parents. Then we have karaoke parents, the dry cleaner, and the volcano parents. So the first one, the helicopter parents. These are parents, they're very, let me finish all this. The dropout parents, the bullied parents, groupie, and commando. Now, the helicopter parents are parents who are always just looking at things from afar. They're always hovering over their children, above everything. So the children are always very insecure. And then the karaoke parents are the parents who try too hard to be cool. Because your daughter is putting on a tank top, you also want to put on a tank top. But you forget that your daughter doesn't have some flesh that the Lord has blessed you in certain spaces. So you're trying to be cool like them. Then we have dry cleaner parents. You know how we behave with a dry cleaner? You take your clothes and drop them, then you come and pick them later on. And so even churches have become places where parents do that. So we drop the children to the youth pastor, we drop the children to the teacher, and collect them later in the evening. Then we have these volcano parents who erupt at everything. Any little thing. Because I always say you must differentiate between a child's foolishness, which is childishness, and when a child is being rude. Because there are some things which are just because they are childish. Because a child behaves like a child. So there are things which you don't have to erupt about. You just have to realize this is being a child. Then we have drop-out parents. And this one, Christians are very good at. We drop out at everything. We promised tomorrow we will go to. Next Saturday we'll go. But Saturday comes, my darling, I have this meeting that is very important. Pastor has just called us for this. And you're always dropping out of everything the child wants done. Then we have the bullied parents. They can't stand up to their kids. So everything the child wants, you give them because you think you're expressing love. And then the groupie parents who treat their children like rock stars. Mommy, don't, daddy. So they can't even cross the road here. You have to look for somebody to help them cross the road. Why? Because they're little rock stars. They will die if they just stepped there alone. And then the commando, he steps on everything. You see their friends, you trash them, you cutter them. I don't want to see these boys here. Who told them to come here? Who are their parents? You just get very difficult. But in all that, we have also things about mothers that mothers struggle with. Pressure to perform. Because a mother is always being looked at. And the pressure is so much. Sometimes the lack of confidence in terms of parenting skills. Why? Because mother needs to know everything. And then the mother is blamed for everything. If my daughter got pregnant, where were you when your daughter was getting pregnant? This boy doesn't eat enough or eats too much because you give them too much food. etc., etc., etc. Fathers, missing fathers. When fathers are missing, there's a crisis of vision, leadership, authority, role models, and direction. Identity. Children want identity from their fathers. They lack courage. They lack spirituality, responsibility, and time. Read scripture. There's nowhere in scripture. I have read scripture back and forth. Even in Proverbs, the responsibility of disciplining is for a father. The mother faces the consequences. Everything in scripture, the discipline is for the father. So when we say the mother has not done, we are messing up. And my brother, you'll allow me to say these tips and I'll make sure I sit down. Number one, let your children know that you love it or you love her no matter what. Teens need to be trusted and to have a loving relationship. Number two, talk to your teen. Listen to the ideas, his ideas, opinions, and things you can do together. Sometimes the opinions or the ideas might be so lofty. But do what? Listen. Listening is for free. Get to know your child's friends and learn what they do in school. So spend time, understand your teen and your preteen and know their friends. Then show you care. Chaperone a trip. When was the last time, especially fathers? We are always so busy. We don't go for parents' days. We don't go for anything. The next time, be the one who will offer to take these guys for a trip. See the magic it does. Attend all those teacher conferences. Don't send your wife. My wife runs a school, but we agreed I am the parent. She's the director of the school. So I attend all parents' meetings. I'm the one who meets teachers. It is not her as the director of the school. She may know the detail, but I am the parent in this case. Join a parent group or support group if you find it challenging, because you can find places to discuss and issues, and this is a good place. Then attend the child's important activities. You know, children hold grudges with you parents for that match you missed, for that athletics or drama thing you missed. And that grudge can hold on until adulthood. Did you know that? So, you better cancel a board meeting and attend what is important to them, because it could be life-saving for you. Answer your child's questions. This for African men is difficult. Don't ask me those questions. Who told you to ask me such questions? Answer those questions. They may be sexuality questions. They may be questions of relationship. Answer them. Because if you don't answer them, doesn't mean they have left the questions. They will look for the answers elsewhere. Then teach your children to respect themselves and to respect others. Don't make your children treat your house help like trash. They must know it's an adult. Whether they are washing their clothes and floors, they are still an adult. So once you teach them respect, they will treat everybody with respect. The watchman, the grass cutter, whoever is working in their space. This thing of saying, nimelipa, mtoto anakaa na mama mzee amesimama, it's a problem in our society. Even in the Western world, it is not there. They treat the old people with so much respect. We are messing up. Challenge your preteen to discover on his own their incredible potential. Push them. That's what I'm saying. Nurture them to things they've never thought about. Show them that you're proud of them. Talk positive about them before their friends and before other people. Because we don't talk until they were number one is when we say my son. But talk about them. Introduce them to other places. They feel very good. But establish limits and boundaries. Curfews. If you say 6 o'clock, it's 6 o'clock. Don't make it 6:30. Study hours, behavior at parties, and expectations for special occasions. If you want to know the behavior of your child, it's not in your home. Take them out for a bash somewhere. The real thing comes out. Now you get to know which child you have. At home, because they know you're Simba, they will keep the rules. But out there, they become... Yes. So, you need to get to know how they behave outside there. Then define the consequences, what you're asking me, Janet, and an expected behavior. Make sure they know the consequences when they break the rules. So that it is not looking like you just wake up and you come up with some unreasonable thing. You say, if you do this, this is what you will. If you don't do this, so it is very clear they expected, because teenagers feel hurt because we always surprise them. So they know they came late for 10 minutes. You tell them, now you will not eat ice cream for 2 months. So you see, it is very abrupt and unexpected. Then recognize some limits and negotiate, so that everything is not written in black and white. Only the things of spirituality, godliness, and you know what is about life and death have absolutes. But other things, negotiate. Because if he says he wants to have strawberry ice cream instead of vanilla, it should not be something that kills you. Then guide them through how to make choices. Because for a teenager, it's all about choices. Choices, choices, choices. Choices of friends, choices of money, choices of sexuality and other things. Then realize the limits are a sign of love rather than control. And with that, I'd like to stop there because others I'll be repeating myself. And then we can have, maybe I'll answer something from the question and answer. Thank you.
You had with the friends like Jen, Judy, when you see them in the house. Yeah. That, yes.
Now, one of the things we recognize is that as the children grow, they are also growing in sexuality, isn't it? So they will have boyfriends and girlfriends. So I tell Jeremy, I need to see your girlfriend. Do you have a girlfriend? Why? It's because we pretend sometimes, in our days we want to pretend we have not seen the boy just walking with holding a girl's hand. That's how our parents behaved. But what you do by allowing them to express also allows you to help them with boundaries. Because then you can discuss and say, I don't mind you having a girlfriend, but why do you have, in fact, that was a discussion I was having with Jeremy recently. Why do you need a girlfriend? Not to say don't have one. So we started discussing why he needs a girlfriend. And then he's also very sharp. He asked me, did you have a girlfriend? So we had a discussion about my girlfriend. But now I explained to him why, when having a girlfriend, you must create boundaries. I told him, you're a man, and if you don't take care, things happen. So I create the boundaries, and we begin to talk about the boundaries. And I tell him, I love to see your girlfriend. So he begins to talk to me about his girlfriend. It's a very difficult discussion. But let me tell you, my sons, when they started going through sexuality, when they start growing pubic hair, or the first one came and said one morning, I can say this because you are parents, and said, Daddy, I've woken up and I have an erection. So he's wondering what is going on with him. Or I was seated in class and my thing stood out. It's a point to discuss, not to fear that discussion. Because some children will never raise it. Why? Because if they brought that topic up, the father will kill them. But now I tell them, when it does that, it means you're normal. Yeah? But it doesn't mean now you begin to misbehave with it. It is just, so you have some time for discussion. And I'm glad. When my elder son wanted to date his first girlfriend, he came to tell me, Daddy, I feel now I need to have a girlfriend. And we have to go through the paces. It's not a very comfortable discussion. But it's a necessary discussion. I don't know if I've answered you, my sister. So allow it. But it depends on how you cultivate the relationship around it. That's what I'm saying. Spend quality time. Find times when you keep talking with them until now they begin to feel, I can actually bring up this. But if they always feel reserved, they never bring it up. Yeah. Yes, sir.
So should I wait until he has a girlfriend, or should it be something I should have already spoken to him or her earlier?
Okay. The beauty is that we run a whole sexuality program. My wife and I are hosts of adoption program called No Apologies. They're about sex, life, and meaning. And so we bring all the children to go through it. So with time, they have learned a few things that we couldn't say to them one-on-one. But because of our talks, they've been exposed to that. So it makes it much easier for us to go through that. Then get opportunities also. So they're all doing biology, they're doing what, nini. You find those spaces, you also use those. You tell them, no, this thing, when you studied it, what did it tell you? Yeah? So you find those opportunities. If you're involved, you'll find the opportunities to talk to them. Because, let me tell you, it's such an honor when your son or daughter discusses with you as a parent than when they go first to discuss with a cousin. The most dangerous people we have in our homes who we think are safe are called cousins. Let me not go there.
Okay, thank you. For me, I consider ourselves as people who may not also have learned, because they usually say that you cannot train an old dog new
New
tricks.
tricks, yeah.
So we are the old dogs, okay? And then I'm now trying to see that, you suddenly you have a change of heart. You want to be so good to your children. Do you think they'll be suspicious, or that suddenly, daddy or mommy is becoming too good? What's happening here? So tell us, how will they take it, or how long will it take, or what should you do as our trainer for make
Okay.
us change?
That's true. That's why you have to build a relationship. Then you also have to accept there are certain things your son, even me, they don't tell me. But what I have done is I have known a few peers who they talk to. So they will talk to my best man on some things they'll never talk to me about. And they have told him it's confidential. So they have agreed they will never tell me. But as long as the person they are telling, I have confidence in them, I don't need to know. So it has to be built. Don't come today and now everything is nice. They will know you are up to something. They're very bright. So take it pole pole, but have a goal. So start slowly. If you are only taking them out for Christmas, try Easter first and then another one. Before you start saying every weekend now you're doing something, they will know you're up to no good. Yeah. Yes, please.
Thank you very much for that enlightening talk. I believe we are so enlightened. You've talked about fathers, crisis fathers. And from what you mentioned about mothers and what you've mentioned about fathers, it's a whole page for fathers. What advice would you give mothers struggling with teenagers with absent fathers?
Okay.
Because that's a big crisis today.
All right, and that's a valid question. Now, I can add some groups there also, if you allow me. Single parents, being in that group, because sometimes you find yourself in a situation, you remain as a single parent, either a lady with a son or a father with a daughter. So how do you go about that? And one of the things I say to mothers, number one, just realize that if you have a son, just by even the features they have, they are different from you. So don't try to make them girls. Allow them to be boys. Because boys are rough, boys stumble. In fact, science has proved a bit of that roughness and fighting and rolling is actually good for the boys. Did you know that? Because you want a boy who is like a girl, always seated, never fidgeting, never looking around. That is not a normal boy. A normal boy will be seated, will pinch another one here a little, and pretend nothing has happened. So, as mothers, realize that that could be a situation. Mothers, don't incubate your boys too long at home. Teach them to be men. Send them away. If they have come and they have misused their pocket money, let them have a consequence. Don't feel like you have to help them. I tell my wife, if Andrew misused his bus fare from town, let him walk home. He will not die. So that what you're trying to do is instill discipline, but also tell them that when you do this, it has a consequence. From here or elsewhere, it will always have a consequence. And then where you have no husband or the husband is absent, find a place where you can find male figures who can be mentors to your son and vice versa, because they need that father. And research has also shown that girls crave for their father's love. And when they do not find it, they will find it in some man. And more often than not, they find it in the wrong men. Because they're looking for affirmation, They're looking for affection. But now, because they didn't get that affirmation and affection at home. So if you're a father of daughters, hug them. Be the first one to hug them. Don't allow other guys to be the first ones to hug them. Show them the love and affirmation. Why? Because when they grow affirmed, they are able to create boundaries much easier. But when they're feeling unaffirmed, any young guy who comes and tells them, you know you are the only bean in my githeri, they fall for it. Yeah? So we must create that space where they feel affirmed. And then mothers, the older boys, don't keep them in the house. If they're moving out, or you can come home and pick things from the fridge. No. Even if they starved, it's okay. They will not die. So allow them to be men. Tell them you didn't, that's okay. You can come and eat dinner, but you will not carry dinner in a lunch box. You go and sort yourself out. What are you doing? You are helping that young man grow up in discipline, in learning to be a man. Because when he has a wife, will he come and eat at your house and leave his wife hungry? No. But the others who are doing that. Why? Because mothers allowed them. Or they go and carry food from their mothers to come and feed their wives. It's even unscriptural. The Bible says if you don't do what your own relatives, your own family, you're worse than an unbeliever. So help them be men and allow them to do things that are supposed to help them grow up as men. I hope it helps.
We're now taking 2 more questions. First, let me see who has the questions, so that we... And if you have a question, raise up your hand so that we take the questions. Okay, there's one there, then one more, and then Penina here. So we can start where the mic is nearest. Then we'll finish with Dr. Wilson.
Thanks for enlightening us. I have a question.
Yes, please.
Am I being too overprotective when, I have not bought my daughter a phone? She was traveling, I let her travel with my phone. I also, in the neighborhood, this boy who came to ring a bell one day, and I opened, and he said he wanted to see my daughter, and I refused. Am I being too overprotective? What should I have done? Should I let the boy come in? What are they going to talk?
Yeah, because sometimes we behave like we are policemen. You can't overprotect that daughter of yours. One, you must allow God to protect them. So the best thing, you should have allowed the boy to come in. Just be friendly to the boy. How are you? How are you doing? How is mom? How is dad? And you just find, because when he begins to, you actually disarm him. Because he must have come expecting kuna mbwa kali. So he comes with his guard up. But when he comes and then you allow him into a space, even give him some juice, you have first of all disarmed him. So now he's a bit confused on how to move the next step. So, as parents, we just have to learn how to do it. And of course, being watchful, praying, and praying for discernment. Because you will not be with that daughter of yours everywhere in school. You don't know what they're talking with the boy. You can hide your phone, but for that one moment, she says, Mom, can I just use your phone? Or the house helps phone. She will find a place to get the information. So the best thing is create a mechanism.